Hello and welcome to this video where we'll do packaging of a full stack machine learning project. This will be a little bit of a simplified full stack machine learning project, but we will go through the packaging. The reason is when you want to divide into several files, several Python scripts, and you want to divide it into several folders, then it will be difficult to import from another folder. In order to make it simple, you want to be able to install it, and in order to do that we'll do a setup.py, and then we will also build up the folder structure with the file structures. This will be quite interesting, and then afterwards you will see when we install this, and you can see it's very simple to import things from different folders, from sibling folders. And in this way you can make the app more scalable, having the backend for by itself. You can have the utils by itself. You can have frontend by itself. And if you want, you can have API for itself as well. And if you want to change your frontend, that's no problem. You can change it to and put another frontend there, since it's decoupled. You communicate through the API layer. This will be really fun. We'll go into a empty Visual Studio Code now, and then we will build this from scratch. Here I am in an empty Visual Studio Code folder. Let's start with some folders. What do I want? I want to have explorations, so that I can put in my eda.ipnb. I want a src. I want to have front end. I want to have utils. These are a few folders that I want. And then inside of src, I want to go into src, and then I will do make dir, let's see, taxi pred, and then I will cd taxi pred, and I will do backend, front end. Actually, I put front end here. That is a mistake. I'll remove that one soon. Actually, I didn't make a mistake there. It should be inside of source, taxi pred. We should have backend, front end, and utils. I'll remove this here. Okay, this is how the structure looks like. We have explorations, we have source, we have taxi pred. This is the app name, and here we have backend, frontend, and utils. Backend, frontend, and utils. We should also have a data. Make their data. Okay, we have data there also. Let me create another terminal here, and I will show you 3 dots. This is how it looks like. We have explorations folder, we have source, they are siblings, and then inside we have taxi pred, and then we have backend, data, frontend, and utils. Okay, let us create a few things. I'll go back to my previous terminal here. This I'm inside of my taxi pred. Inside of taxi pred, let us create touch. Let's see, backend, under init.py. Okay, and you can see inside of backend we have under init.py. Actually, I could do this in terminal, but I will do it manually. I'll copy it here. We need to have under init in each of the folders, and this is because we need this in order to make a packaging. I will show you why we need the packaging. For example, let's create in backend now, touch backend api.py, and then backend data processing.py. Okay, this is my backend. I've created these. And now let's create something in the front end. What do I need there? I could take touch dashboard.py. It should be in the front end. Okay, front end has this one. For example, we will create in touch utils constants.py. And we'll do till helpers.py as well. Okay, this starts to look good. We do need to have let's just try out what I mean. I go into my data processing, and here I will have import. I will create fake data. Fake data equals to hello. Bye. Okay, this is just some fake data. I want to import this fake data from the In the API, I can do from data processing, import fake data. That is no problem. I can print the fake data. And if I run this one, you can see it works. That's no problems because we're in the same folder. We're siblings. However, if I go into the front end, you can see front end, I want to import my fake data. Can I do something like this? / no, it doesn't work. Say backend, API, data processing, import fake data. Print fake data. I run this one. It says there's an error. Import error. Attempted relative import with no known parent package. Okay, I cannot do this. Can I just do this and run? No, it doesn't work. How about if I do from taxi thread dot data processing import? It doesn't work. There is an issue here. You can see there's a little bit tricky when we want to import it based on, you see front end here and back end, they are siblings to each other. How can I go up one step, go into back end, import this fake data? It doesn't work as simple as this. What we need to do is take use of this the init.py, because with this we can create a packaging. What does this mean? Well, we will have, let me see if I have done the init there. I will need a done the init inside of taxipred as well. Inside of taxipred, we have done the init. Let me take a look here. Full stack ML packaging. We can do cd source taxipred here, or actually we can cd dot. I will do 3 dot here. I want to see the whole structure. This is my structure now. Explorations, we have nothing. Okay, let's fix that. eda.ipinb. It's inside of explorations / this. Okay. Now you can see eda.ipinb. Okay, we have explorations, eda.ipinb. We have source, taxipred. Inside there we have this dunder init, and backend we have dunder init. Data, we will put in some data, a CSV file. Front end, dunder init.py. Utils, dunder init.py. Okay, now it's time for us to create the setup. We need a setup in order for us to install this, because we need to make it into a package. We need to install this one. And when we install it, the importing will become very, very straightforward. I'll show you how that works. I will have another terminal here. Source taxipred. And inside of source taxipred, let me see. Or actually, this is outside. Here. setup.py, and here we need to do from setuptools import setup. And let me also do like this. We'll create a virtual environment, uv-venv. Oh, sorry. .venv, I created it inside here. We should be outside to create it. I'll change the terminal. Here I am in full stack ML packaging, this one, and I will create my virtual environment. And then I will do source.venv bean to activate it. And I will change my virtual environment now to this one. Okay, you can see setuptools doesn't exist. uv pip install setuptools. Okay, like this. Now this one should work exactly. We do uv pip install py kernel as well. And yeah, that should be it. That we can work with Jupyter Notebook. Okay, from setuptools, import setup and find packages. Now it's time to do this setup. Then you do setup like this, and you have the name. What is the name of this app? Well, I call it TaxiPred. And version, we have 0.0.1. We have description. This package contains TaxiPred app, which will predict taxi prices. Something like this. Author, you can have Coction. We can have Coction like this. It works. Author email. Author appemail.com. We just put your email if you want. Install requires. Okay, what do I want to be dependencies? What do I require? Well, I will require Streamlit. I will require pandas. I will require FastAPI, scikit-learn, because these are the things that I will work with. Let me see what else. Let's take Uvicorn as well. Okay. And then package directory. Here you have a dictionary of this is where your package directory should be. You start with the empty string and then you go into where it should be, source. This is where our package should be. Package directory is inside of source. And then you choose the package data. Here, the package data is inside of TaxiPred, because this is the name of this folder, TaxiPred. And here you pick out data for this data folder. So here's the data that we'll send in, and then /star.csv. And then packages. How do we find the packages? Well, we use this find packages. It will look for all the subfolders we've done the inits. That is it. When you have this, it's now quite straightforward. You should have activated your virtual environment and then uv pip install -e to make it editable. It means that when you're changing some files, you don't need to reinstall the package. This means install it based on this folder. Okay, we're installing. You can see there's a lot of other things that we installed, such as scikit-learn, Uvicorn, etc. And those packages that we have installed, they are dependent on other packages. If you do uv pip lists py grep, let's see, taxit, and you can see this, we installed TaxiPred here, 0.0.1. This is the package that we have installed. What does this mean? Well, when we go into source, you can see here there's something egg info. You don't need to care about that one. We go into TaxiPred, and here, inside of frontend, we have this dashboard, fake data. Run this one, and you can see it works magically. You can see it's possible to import this now, this fake data from taxipred.backend.dataprocessing import fake data. Now I will put in the data, my data file. I will place it inside of data. It's just some CSV file I've picked from Kaggle. I will link the source data in the description. I will place it in here. And then I will start to make a data frame, and then I will send it through the API, the FastAPI, and then we will use Streamlit to display the data. Basically like that, to show you how this will work, this packaging. Okay, now we have this fake data here, and I also placed the real data, taxitrippricing.csv, and you can see this is just a CSV file. Let's go into our utils first, to constants. And inside of constants, let's actually pick this data. We take from importlib.resources import files. Maybe, we'll see. taxi CSV path. Now we don't need to use pathlib to find this data. Instead, since we're installing it as our resources, we can find it with importlib.resources. We have here files. I'll take taxipred. This is basically what you had in setup.py. You can see this is the taxipred, and these are the data files that we sent in when we installed. However, I didn't have anything when I installed, but I placed this CSV file afterwards. Maybe I need to reinstall it. We will see. And then .join path. And we're joining the path data/taxi pricing.csv. Let us print out our taxi CSV path, and you will see. And here you can see that it goes into source taxipred data/taxi_trip_pricing.csv. Now, when we have this absolute path down to this CSV file, then we can basically just import it. We have this constant. So we go into backend, we go into data processing, and now I have this fake data. I'll just remove this one. I don't need that anymore. And I will create our real data now. From taxipred.utils, remember we go from taxipred, we go into utils, and then .constants, we import taxi CSV path. And then we import pandas as PD. We can do df equals to pd.dataframe of taxi CSV path. And I will run this one and we'll see our data coming out. Okay, first time it's a little bit slow, but it's no danger here. Okay, there's an error here. pd.read_csv. Okay. Rerun this one. Yeah, I need to print it also. We're not in Jupyter Notebook environment now. Run this one. Yes, you can see the data is here. Perfect. Okay, if the data is here, well, very simple. We can do class taxi data under init self.df equals to pd.read_csv taxi CSV data. I'll remove that one. We read in the data frame here, def to JSON. We'll make it very simple here and just to return. Let's say we need to have import JSON, return JSON.loads self.df.toJSON, because toJSON gives us a string, and then we have orient equals records. Basically, this is just a class which we can get, for example, taxi equals to taxi data, and then we can do .toJSON, and you'll see how it looks like. We can print taxi. Run this one, and you can see this is our JSON data. You can do from pprint import pprint, and we can do pprint this one instead. And you can see this is our taxi data. And you can see these are the records when we had orient equals records. Okay, this is just basically some OOP and pandas. And we have this taxi path, which was from our constant, which is this importlib.resources files. Okay, that is a little bit new maybe. However, now when we have our backend, we can simply create our, I'll remove this too. We could have done the name equals done the main, but I will skip that now. We'll go into api.py. And inside of api.py, very simply, from FastAPI, import FastAPI. From taxipred.backend.data processing, import taxi data. Now we have app equals FastAPI. We have taxi data equals to taxi data. And then we can make our endpoint app.get/taxi. Async def read taxi data. And then we return taxi data.to JSON. Basically, we created the class taxi data. We have instantiated the class. We have an instance, and then we take to JSON for that instance. And we return it in this endpoint. Now we should be able to see it. Let's see, fullstack ML packaging, CD, let's see, source, taxi pred, CD, let's see, CD backend. We need to run this Uvicorn API :app -- reload. Command click this or control click if you're in Windows. You can see here is the API, or this is the end. This is our URL. We go into /docs or Uvicorn. We can just take /taxi. We don't need to test out anything in Uvicorn. In the Swagger UI. This is, you can see here, this is our data, and you can see indented code. You can see each record here. This is really cool. We have created this API. We have served this data. Let's move on to creating our front end. You need to have this Uvicorn open so that the server is opened in order to serve our data. Then our front end, I'll go into dashboard.py and just create a very, very simple front end. Here, I will make it a little bit bigger here. Import Streamlit as st from taxi pred dot. Oh, actually, I want to have this utils. I'll go into our helpers because I have created import requests, and then from urlib parse import URL join. This is a helper function which will help us to read different endpoints. I don't want to do the request and all of these things several times. I have this helper function to help me. Def read API endpoint equals to / base URL equals to, I will paste this base URL here, and then URL equals to URL join our base URL, comma, endpoint. With URL join, you get automatically, it will help you with, because some systems it requires different amount of slashes, etc. URL join is a robust way to join URLs together. And then we have here response equals to request.get URL, and you can also do like response.status code, etc. But we will just return the response. Basically, this is a way to pass the API endpoint in a quick way. We can use this as a helper function. In my dashboard, I will do taxipred utils.helpers import my read API endpoint, and then data equals to read API endpoint taxi. This is my endpoint. I want to have /taxi. Then we can do df equals to pd dot dataframe. I will have a pd import pandas pd.dataframe data.json. Okay. Now I have our data. We can print df, for example. If I run this one, I have this on. Yes. Okay, let me run this again. Oh, yeah, it's not on because, yeah, okay. It closed down the Uvicorn. Uvicorn API :app -- reload. I need to go into another one. Actually, I don't need to run it directly. I will run the Streamlit app. I don't need to print it. Def main st.markdown taxi prediction dashboard. Okay, and then st.dataframe df. Just as simple as that. And then here I will go into cd source, taxi pred, frontend, and here let's do streamlit run dashboard.py. Okay, now rerun this one. Yes, the data is here. Perfect. Okay, this was really, really cool. Note that we get this data from this read API endpoint taxis. It goes into this URL localhost, this 127, etc. /taxi. You have this endpoint, you get the data, you do data.json, and you create a data frame, which you can place into other modules and other scripts. But for simplicity, we make it in the front end in dashboard.py, and then we just display it with st.dataframe. And that is it. We have our full stack application. And for machine learning, of course, you want to do some prediction, some scikit-learn, but I have video on how to do prediction with random forest through a FastAPI and then using a Streamlit to consume that API. That is basically this project here. However, we didn't have it as structured as this. This is focused on the packaging part, which we have done with the setup.py and installed it. So cool. In this video, we have worked with packaging a full stack application, and this full stack application is for serving data and serving machine learning models. However, we haven't showed this yet in this packaging. This is focused on the packaging, but the full stack part is there, and it's simple to add the ML model, and then you can serve that as well. And you can watch the other video that I've created for serving a machine learning model through a FastAPI, and you will see how that works. But that video didn't have the packaging part. We didn't divide it into several subfolders, which we did in this one. And we made it in such a way that it's quite scalable, that you can create a larger and larger application. This is quite interesting, and I hope that you learned a lot from this video, and see you in the next one.